Hey guys, SoCal Val here. You are listening to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
Welcome everybody back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. It is the Dynamite review show and I am your host, Adam Cousins. Now, AEW Dynamite this week started with MJF, Tony Schiavone, and basically MJF said it only takes 3 seconds to lose the title and that Jay White did something that nobody else could do and he should savor it. And at that point, MJF gets a phone call and it's a FaceTime for Adam Cole. He said that he's worried about the match at Full Gear where MJF takes on the Guns for the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships and that he should take up Samoa Joe on his offer. MJF has said he's got it. And Daniel Garcia, Menard, Parker are here. And tonight MJF gets Daniel Garcia, the wrestler, in the ring as we hear the dulcet tones of Roderick Strong saying, Adam! And he was here with the Kingdom. Roddy was wrestling legend, but he is a joke now. And now we go live to Portland, Oregon for the opening contest, which actually is the AEW World Heavyweight Championship match between MJF and Daniel Garcia. There was quite a funny bit during it, during the opening sort of exchanges where they moved to the corner and MJF was calling for sportsmanship, which was quite funny. Obviously, Daniel Garcia being a wrestler. The finish of this really come out of nowhere when MJF Daniel Garcia had the Dragon Tamer locked in. MJF bridges and counters it into the Salt of the Earth, which was a really good finish. But what the actual match itself that we saw in general was absolutely excellent. But it brings me to the point that it made Daniel Garcia look like the wrestler that he is. And that's exactly what they need to do. I think Daniel Garcia, as we move into 2024, we're going to be seeing a lot more from him. He's already elevated to a level that I think could quite easily be the top end of the main event. And we'll see what happens with Daniel Garcia. He's still with Menard and Parker. I don't think that will be the case as we move into next year. I think Daniel Garcia will be definitely on a singles run. Could he end up still in the Blackpool Combat Club eventually? So we'll have to wait and see. At the end of the match, MJF did go for the shake of hands, but Menard and Parker pull Garcia away. And MJF did ask Garcia if he's going to keep following the two goons as he walks away, which does indicate that Garcia could well be forging his own career on his own, whether that's a face or a heel, but moving away and off of Parker and Menard, who are essentially just a comedy tag team. And I think Daniel Garcia is far better than that. I know he had the thing with Danielson at the early part of the year when Danielson was trying to recruit him into the Blackpool Combat Club, which didn't happen. But I generally believe that Garcia will forge his own career as a single in 2024. Now, the next match was Darby Allin and Sting against a team that I know very well from the NWA, the Outrunners. There was quite a bit early from the Outrunners. They did make a slight double team in Darby and they started cutting the ring off a little bit. There was a bit there when Darby escaped the suplex and tagged Sting. The Portland crowd went absolutely crazy for that. They love Sting there. We all love Sting. We know it's getting close now to, February, I believe, where it would be his last match. So he got the tag. He cleared the ring. Darby looks for a dive, but Magnum sweeped the leg. There was a double elbow to Sting, but he didn't sell it. He clotheslined everyone. Stinger splash, coffin drop, Scorpion deathlock, game over. Darby Allin Sting pick up the win. It was always going to be the case. I'm interested with the Outrunners, though. Obviously, I know them from NWA Power. They've done some stuff on Collision. They've been on Dynamite before. I think they've even been on Rampage. Just wondering if AEW have got some real interest in the Outrunners. But we'll have to wait and see. But Darby Allin and Sting pick up the win. It was going to be a win for them too, and they'll move on to see what's next for them. They'd done a sit-down with Timeless, Tony Storm and Shida. It was in black and white, which was fantastic. And it was a really good match, a really good interview with both of them hyping up the match coming up at the pay-per-view at Full Gear. And Sting retires at Revolution. Sorry, I got that wrong. The next match was absolutely brilliant. Swerve, Strickland, Penta, and Miedo. This match was absolutely fantastic. These guys can do about anything. Swerve is probably on the roll of his life right now, to be quite honest with you. And he started to stack some wins up. This match did not disappoint. There was 450s. There was just everything. He missed the house call, Swerve did, but finally he hit the Swerve stomp and this match finishes. Swerve is on another level at the moment. And as I've already mentioned, on the run of his career. At the end of the match, though, Hangman Page is there. He clears the ring and gets Swerve to the ramp, landing some chair shots before Swerve takes off. But he did then he did hit Swerve with some chair shots and then took him off the stage with a dead eye through a table, which was absolutely amazing. And that really now solidifies their feud going in probably into Full Gear. And I'm really intrigued to see if they're going to have a single. Is it going to be a gimmick match? How they're going to do this? But I think Hangman will probably end up having to come out on top of that one. But it's good to see Hangman in a meaningful feud, away again from the Young Bucks. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But it's good to see Hangman back on a roll as a single. So when we get into Full Gear again, we will be against Swerve. I'll be very intrigued to see who comes out on top. Marvez is next with the Bullet Club Gold. He said people can compare MJF to Jay White. The choice is clear. No one can compete with a Switchblade. After he beats Mark Briscoe in the main event, he will see MJF at Full Gear. There was a great package of the Don Callis family and Kenny Omega. Then we had the break. Back from the break, Omega and Jericho are in with Renee. Before Jericho has a chance to come in, the Young Bucks show up and they're getting dressed in the broom closet because Jericho's bag is so big. There's a big war of words, and Matt Jackson challenges Jericho and Omega to a tag match at Full Gear. Omega says they can beat them, and it says they will win. Matt says if the Bucks win, the Elites is back, and Jericho can't wait to beat the spoiled brat arse. It's interesting. I think this is where we see the Young Bucks in having a heel turn, and they're going to start being on their own, or what maybe even away from Hangman Page. I don't see Omega turning on Jericho, and I don't see Jericho turning on Omega at this point. I think they've got too much stuff going on. But I do think the Young Bucks will turn heel. Will this match be good at Full Gear? I think it will be okay to good. I'm a bit skeptical. I'm always skeptical about Jericho at the moment, mainly because of his age, and he's not the cruiserweight that he was. So we'll see that match at Full Gear, and I'll be interested to see if the Bucks go full-fledged heel at that point. Samoa Joe, Keith Lee, two fridges, the two big old meaty men bumping meat, as Big E would say. And this match was really just that. It was a meat slapper, as I called it. There was some big moves in this. What you can imagine from Samoa Joe and Keith Lee. In the end, though, Keith Lee does eventually go to sleep with the coquina clutch. But Keith Lee did put up a good fight in this. But Samoa Joe just doing what Samoa Joe does best. What does the future hold for Keith Lee again, though, after this? I'm really not sure. I think that message when he said about Walter's coming back to haunt him, when Walter went to Gunter, he tweeted out saying, I feel sorry for him, or something along those lines. And I think realistically, we all feel sorry for Keith Lee. And perhaps he feels a little bit silly about putting that tweet out. Samoa Joe, now, this is the interesting bit. Samoa Joe gets on the mic at this point and says, he's the greatest Ring of Honor TV champ of all time, and that pretty much is legit. He is. He wants more than that, and he drops the belt and vacates it. And the next gold a bit on Joe's shoulder will be the AEW World Championship. This is something now which, again, I've gone back to having MJF in feuds with so many different people, making that championship the centerpiece of Dynamite and Collision, which is exactly right. But now it brings up the question, who takes the Ring of Honor title? This has added another element to this. And I'm really intrigued to see what AEW do with that, because what they're doing with the World Championship at the moment is absolutely right. And they're making it that centerpiece. And it's giving MJF so many different obstacles and targets. And that's what it should be. What do they do with the Ring of Honor Championship, though? Maybe drop your comments below, hit us up on our social media, and let us know who you think will be the next Ring of Honor TV champion. After that, it was the Guns versus the Bollywood Boys, 310 to Yuma, K-Bye. That's it, done. Guns win that. It was as simple as that. This is establishing the Guns. You know, they're part of Bullet Club Gold. They have to be taken seriously. They're not a comedy act. These guys are now mean business, and I think they take the Ring of Honor Tag Championship off of MJF and whoever the partner is at Full Gear. I really do think that they are on the roll. They're winning matches. Okay, these are squash matches, but the Guns are a serious tag team, and AEW are now positioning them in a way in which you have to take them as a serious team, and I love that. So great for the Guns, great win. Julia Hart, Red Velvet is next. It was fine. It was a good match. Julia Hart picks up the win. We hadn't seen Red Velvet in a while, so I was a bit disappointed that we kind of either one of these two had to lose. So yeah, because Red Velvet's been away. She's got a lot of potential. So a bit disappointed about that one, but nevertheless, Julia Hart keeps up keeps up her momentum. And she does beat it with a fantastic moonsault, by the way. You need to go and watch that. After it, she locks in Heartless. Sky Blue makes the save. Both women have stared each other down as Statlander and Nightingale make their way to the ring, and Julia Hart heads to the back. I still think Sky Blue or Willow is going to be turning to the House of Black. I really do. I think they could have done it then, but they may be saving it either for Collision or for the Full Gear. But I really do think at some point Willow or Sky will be going to the House of Black. Main event time, Mark Briscoe against Jay White. If whoever wins this will take on MJF at Full Gear. This match was a brilliant match. Mark Briscoe absolutely rules in this. And I will have to say this, and I held up my hands. I wasn't ever, when Jay White first came in, I slated it. I didn't know where he would be. I knew how good he was, but I thought the way he was positioned on AEW and how he debuted in there was wrong. But I eat my words of it. Jay White is an absolute megastar. This match was really good. There was again, this was a classic sort of Ring of Honor, old school Ring of Honor match, if you want to, without the Code of Honor being adhered to, obviously. But if you went and watched Ring of Honor back over the years, Briscoe and Jay White had a classic Ring of Honor match. It was really, really good. It ended up with a sleeper suplex, a straightjacket brainbuster, and the Blade Runner. And the match is over. So Jay White, not surprisingly, goes to Full Gear to take on MJF. MJF is here. His music hit. He was behind the Bullet Club Gold. He lays out the guns and juice with the ring. He makes eye contact with White makes eye contact with MJF and runs away. MJF says playtime is over. White will have to get in the ring with a generation of talent. He then says White will have to kill him to beat him. And for the first time in his life, he's fighting for more than just him. MJF is fighting for Adam Cole, for everyone at home, from everyone in the arena. He's not just a scumbag, he's our scumbag. At that point, the lights go out and the Titantron plays, and the masked men are back, but they're not attacking Bullet Club this time. They're attacking the Acclaimed and Daddy Arse, and they absolutely brutalize them before we go back and we see the man in the mask again, who just looks into the camera, and that's how Dynamite ends. And again, we always say this, end it to make you want to watch it next week, and that's exactly what AEW have done here. It is a question of who's beyond the mask. I'm still going for Jack Perry, but I'm also going to say that perhaps the man in the mask, when it's revealed, may not be the man in the mask now. People are still saying Adam Cole, which is my point. If they're going to long this out until Adam Cole's back, then it makes sense that the man in the mask would be different compared to when it's revealed. That could be what AEW are doing. I still think it's Jack Perry coming back. Obviously, he's been suspended for a long time now after the stuff with Punk. So it'll be interesting to see. Will it happen at Full Gear? Will we get the reveal at Full Gear after the Jay White MJF match? Potentially. Guys, this has been the AEW Dynamite review show. We are going to be back. We've got Lance Anoa'i coming up. We've got Eric Bischoff coming up in a few weeks' time. We cannot wait for that. Myself and Andy will be reviewing Raw later on today. This is Friday. You're going to get this today on a Friday as well. So this is actually 11s. So enjoy your 11s with your tea and your biscuit or your sandwich, and enjoy listening to me, your host, Adam Cousins. And until next time, everybody, buckle down and stay safe.